Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at Volvo. Volvo is moving its EV production from China to Belgium as the EU tariffs on Beijing. Volvo Car has started to shift manufacturing of its Chinese-made electric vehicles to Belgium as the European Union prepares to impose tariffs. These tariffs are being imposed on Chinese-made EVs, on top of transferring production of the Volvo EX30 and the Volvo EX90. These are Volvo's newest electric vehicles, fully electric vehicles, and it's fair to say that the market has already fell in love with the EX30. I'm seeing them everywhere and in some really great colors. Of course, the EX90 is coming to the market a little bit later, but you can see Volvo is really quick to react to this, and I think it's perhaps the best decision to make. This is Volvo's future vehicles. They are Volvo's future vehicles. They could still manufacture some of these vehicles in China to ship to other countries where there won't be that much tariffs. But a key question, how will this affect the Volvo company and in which way? Could this be problematic for Volvo as the EX30 was supposed to be the most affordable electric vehicle they can offer, while the EX90 on the other hand is a high expensive premium vehicle? The automaker may also assemble some of Volvo's models around for the UK. Now we know Volvo is owned by Geely, and Geely is a Chinese company. And due to this, Volvo is actually really closely connected to China in many ways. A lot of their electric vehicle manufacturing is done within China, including the manufacturing of the Polestar 2, Polestar 3, Polestar 4. So it begs the question, what is going to happen with Polestar? Will Polestar also have to consider moving production to another European country? And I've long speculated that Polestar should have a factory in Europe for many different reasons. Strategically, it makes sense. Business-wise, it makes sense. In terms of branding, it will have a higher appeal with European. So for various reasons, it could benefit Volvo to actually move their production to Belgium. But there could also be some downsides, because this is not by choice. This is by an implementation. They're almost being forced to do this to avoid tariffs. So trade friction between the EU and China has led to a barrage of anti-dumping probes against Beijing amid allegation of unfair subsidies. I don't understand what is unfair subsidies. Could someone explain that to me? So let me get this right. If Germany offers its automakers more money than France offers its automakers, does that mean that Germany is offering unfair subsidies? No, it doesn't. They're just supporting their home brand. This is the same thing China is doing. But what I will agree with is that for Europe, they want some benefits also, such as, hey, let's provide jobs to European people. So if these companies, if they want to sell in Europe, build in Europe. And that does make sense. It absolutely makes sense. And you can see it's definitely already taken effect, but it's not unfair subsidies. It's just a little bit of geopolitics with a little bit of smart thinking. Now, the EU is expected to tell EV makers in China as early as this week on whether it will impose provisional tariffs from July the 4th that would boost import duties above the level of 10%. Volvo Car Brands denies the Times report, saying it's premature to speculate on an implementation of what this investigation will conclude or potentially measures. The decision to also build the EX30 in Ghent reflects our ambition to build our cars where we sell them as much as possible. This was said by a Volvo spokesperson in an email statement. Now, the additional capacity in Belgium had been previously disclosed. China last week accused the EU of working to suppress Chinese companies and said it would take action to safeguard its interests. In other words, China can also raise tariffs on electric vehicles and on gasoline and petrol vehicles. The Chinese market is still a huge market for a lot of these European brands. And China could easily say, well, we're going to raise tariff. The easy thing is, it's easy to build a factory in China, relatively, compared to Europe, especially for a company that's coming from the outside of China. If Mercedes, BMW, any of those big brands, they want to go to China and build a factory, they're most welcome. And most of the time, the Chinese governments will try to incentivize them to do this. They did the same thing with Tesla. They incentivized Tesla to build in China. It was best for Chinese and it was best for Tesla. However, when it comes to Chinese companies building in Europe, they're not They're not very welcome, if I'm being completely honest, especially in the US. Chinese companies trying to build factories in the US, they're not welcome very well. This is why you've seen many companies that are mostly taken to Mexico instead. They're thinking to themselves, okay, we'll build in Mexico and we will ship to the US. Now, what's really incredible is that China has an opportunity here to not just build a factory in Europe, but they could also build a factory in North Africa as well. Not just North Africa, but it could be anywhere in Africa. But the reason I say North Africa is because you look at countries like Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, these countries are rather close to Europe, which strategically it would make sense to build EV factories in these countries. Plus, the cost to build an EV factory and the cost to maintain it and the cost to run it using employees will be it will be significantly more affordable than doing this in Europe. The difference is European nations could also impose tariffs on those vehicles that are built in North Africa, depending on the North African country. If there's a certain agreement that allows there to be a bypass, well, perfect, because apparently there's a bypass in Mexico. Apparently, Mexico has a trade agreement with the US where the tariffs are either low or there's none, apparently. If China could find a similar country within Africa, specifically North Africa, because of its closeness to Europe and the Middle East, then this might work really well. It gives them two continents at their doorstep. It gives them Europe and it gives them Africa. Now, on the other hand, you have South Africa, a great strategic place to build EV factories because of its shipping location. It's probably one of the best shipping locations. You got to go all around Africa, but it's used quite popularly because I think Volkswagen, I think they have a factory in South Africa. Yep, here we go. They have a factory in South Africa. And I don't think that's any coincidence. You see, South Africa, its closeness to South America, given access to the rest of Africa, of course, and its closeness to Asia as well. North Africa, on the other hand, gives you great closeness to Europe. So if there's a specific trade agreement that would allow these rules to be bypassed, either Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, this could be interesting. This could really get interesting. But you can see Volkswagen has a factory everywhere. Brazil, Argentina, US. They have factories in China, India, wow, just everywhere. Pretty much all over Europe as well. They got factory in Italy, Portugal, Spain, France. My goodness, VW is just doing incredible. Now this is Volvo Group manufacturing worldwide. However, because Volvo build trucks, it's quite diversified. So in the Oceania and Africa, they have a truck building factory in Brisbane, Durban. In South America, they have Volvo trucks, buses, engines, transmissions. So they're quite worldwide as well. But the thing that we have to keep in mind is that Volvo cars and Volvo Group are a little bit different, I think. Here we go. So we got AB, Volvo AB. They own the subsidiaries of Volvo trucks, buses, and some more. Over 51 different subsidiaries. My goodness, Volvo is doing better than we could ever think. I did not know they own Renault trucks. That's quite impressive. So there are different subsidiaries, but it looks like they're all owned by the main Volvo company, Volvo AB. Now, on the other hand, we've got some other news about Volvo. All 71,956 Volvo EX30s recall for software issues. The glitch causes the speedometer to go into test mode when the vehicle is started. Like I said, this vehicle has been very popular so far in the UK alone that I can see. I had no idea that they delivered over 71,000 already. I didn't know this. Volvo EX30 sales hit a new record, 11,000 in May alone. That's last month, 11,000 alone. That is remarkable. I'm telling you, I'm seeing them almost daily, and I love it when I see them because I really like how the car looks. Exterior, interior, all of that. But this so-called recall, it is software. So because it's software, this might actually be a rather easy fix. Volvo issues a statement regarding the issue. The automaker said the software problem can be fixed via an over-the-air update. There are two options for the over-the-air updates. EX30 owners can either push the update on their own when prompted by the car to take the affected vehicle to a dealership. where the update would be performed free of charge. Either way, the fix should be simple. That's what I mean. So when the media says it's a recall, I'm like, let's try to understand that first. It's probably just a software thing and it probably just needs to be resolved. You wouldn't really call it a recall these days, when so many things can be fixed by software. Volvo said that no injuries or accidents has been reported in connection with this issue. The automaker sends notice to EX30 owners, stating that the automaker would ensure that the EX30 owner continue to use a safe and reliable vehicle. This is the second time since its launch in January that a software issues has impacted the EX30. Before that, the launch of the EX30 was delayed because the software wasn't ready. So it seemed Volvo is having some difficulties on the software side of this popular vehicle. Interestingly, the EX30 sales stand at just over 35,000 units. However, the recall affects all 71,956 EX30 produced to date. Okay, so wait a minute. The sales is only 35,000. That would make more sense because I was just about to say 71,000 vehicles already delivered. That's crazy. Now, 31,000, that makes a lot more sense given that they delivered 11,000 in May. And by the way, this number will only continue to increase. I have a feeling this number will only continue to increase because this is a very popular vehicle already. So it's unclear when the EX30 will finally go on sale in the US. You see, it's not even on sale in the US yet. Imagine when it does. The delivery numbers are going to increase even more. A new report suggests that the EX30 production might shift from China to Europe to avoid tariffs. That's already done. This move might mean that the US-bound EX30s will come from Europe and not China. Wow, exciting times. But also Volvo has factory in America, and I think they need more. They need more factories in America. They need more factories in Europe. But that is it for today's video. I am still bullish on this company, of course. It is rather cheap. It is rather cheap. This is the price of the stock in Swedish krona, so this is actually not pounds, it's not dollars. But if we did figure out how much it was in dollars, it's actually not that much in pounds. It's 20 pounds per stock. So with this market cap at 556 billion, that's in Swedish krona as well. And I'll always say that makes the company extremely undervalued. So in pounds, it's valued at 41 billion. 41 billion. Now, that's not bad. And if you're curious about revenue, last year, it was 54.8 billion in the US alone. Last year, it was 54.8 billion dollars, US dollars, last year in revenue. That's remarkable. And apparently because of Volvo trucks doing very successful in deliveries, that helped the price to raise by 17%. With the new EVs that's coming from Volvo, this will have a more dramatic and positive impact on the company. So why don't you tell me, does that company looks undervalued? Of course it's undervalued. They're making more money in revenue than they're worth in market cap. If you wonder how much 20 pounds is in US dollars, it's 25 US dollars. It's 25 US dollars. So if my calculations are correct, yeah, Volvo is incredibly undervalued. But that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.